Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you all doing well on this wonderful Wednesday night. Tonight we have Mutiny Ghosts. Let's get them on. So we're doing direct voice call today, so bear with me while I get this set up. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Oh, awesome, dude. What's good, man? It's been a minute. How you been?
No, yeah, I've just been yeah, just man, just chilling.
Just chilling.
Baseball season now, so
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
have the
yeah.
game on my other my
Yeah,
other
it's
monitor.
it's October baseball, huh? So what tag are you going by? Just braT now? Is that right?
It's braT.
Okay,
Yeah.
right on. Cool. So welcome on, dude. If you're familiar with the show, so tell me a little bit about what's been going on with your rank games. What are you looking for help with?
So after Evo, I kind of swapped off of Lily and I just started wanting to play Juri.
Okay.
I think that's just like a character that always wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a struggle with like Sagat release too, like just understanding how that guy works. So
Mm-hmm.
he really like tanked my, I guess, like road to master. I don't really care too much about like the MR games or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
mostly just like ranked as the just like how I play the game mostly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or
Okay.
like casual matches. I think it's just like struggling to it's just like a lot of like the knowledge characters that I lose against. So
Okay. Okay.
like Aki, Elena.
Sure. Yeah, so it's like, you get in a situation where, you have to know what they are doing in order to beat them. And if you don't, you just get knowledge checked.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So unfortunately, I can't help you with too much with those because I don't play too many other characters, at least at the level that I play Ken at. So, what we can talk about is sort of what's happening in game for you. So, kind of how you can make those decisions on the fly, and if there's any other kind of holes in your game that we can kind of talk about and address, right? So, like, if your spacing gets better, it's easier to deal with some of this other stuff, right? Like the mix-up game and all that stuff. Some of that is just kind of having to play the game, unfortunately. But we can talk about some other stuff that might be happening for you. So, and take a look at that. So, if you haven't seen the show or at least the session, what we'll do is we'll run our first to three. I'll kind of get a sense of like where you're at, what you might be struggling with. And then after that, we'll do a little replay review. So we'll talk about one of the replays for our match, for our set. And then if you can send me a replay code or two of like recent ranked matches, we can take a look at that one, right? So we can kind of see what you might be struggling with in your rank sessions and how that might differ from what's happening in our games. And if there's anything in particular that we want to look at, we can hop in the lab, do a little lab work if there's something interesting. And then at the end, if there's time and you're up for it, we can run it back, run the first three. Sound reasonable?
Yeah, man.
Dope. So go ahead and queue up. I tend to deafen during this part just so that I can kind of articulate what's happening on stream so that when you look at this later, if you do, you'll know what I was thinking. And I also
Mhm.
don't want to impact anything you're doing, right? So,
No, right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So we'll run it and
yeah, we'll run it and then
be back up.
be back up. Yeah. And then I may also take the timer down to like 1 or 2 seconds. And it's the same reason I'm just kind of articulating what I'm seeing and all that. So again, just don't want to impact anything you're doing, and then it'll be helpful for you later on if you decide to look at this. You can look at what I was thinking.
Mhm.
That sounds good. Go ahead and queue up, and good luck.
Yep.
All right. braT, one of the OG homies, hung out at Evo. It was good times. That was 2 years ago though. It was 2024 or last year, not this year's Evo. They were on Modern Lily before, like they were kind of mentioning. But yeah, now I guess they're on Jury. So let's see what's up. Okay, takes a throw on plus frames. See the deal with this pressure. Jumping out is not a bad idea there, I think. Uh-oh. So, the jump out, I think I actually don't mind that option. If I had gone for a shimmy or something of that effect, you could have gotten out, right? Ooh. A lot of meter for that combo. Oh, no anti-air. Oh man, I've been dropping that. Oh. I wonder if that route's because they're in Modern, right? So they have to use that route instead of the other one. There's one that juries like to use that I see a lot. Yeah. So the knowledge check there, unfortunately, was the Jinrai, right? So with Jinrai, you can't really, when you're in burnout like that, you can't really challenge after the medium because it's safe now, right? So normally you can, right? Normally that is -7, so like a super will blow it up. But when you're in burnout, it doesn't quite work that way. So far what I'm seeing is that the main thing they're running into here is that I'm winning a neutral interaction and then putting them in the corner, and then they're kind of getting mixed in the corner. Go for parry twice. Wake up button. Oh, nice. Just raw, I like it. Alright. What's, I think, killing them right now is the lack of anti-airs, right? So... Oh my goodness. At that time, what happened was they went for a jab and kind of walked up, and then I just kind of challenged them in the jab, right? So I think what's happening here is that there are some neutral interactions that I think they're not aware of how to defend it. Oh, that is killing me. I guess I can't delay tech there. Oops. Yeah, I think they're afraid to press now. Oh, nice. So I have to kind of be careful here because they're on modern, right? So if I throw a bad fireball, they can just super me. Okay. So where I think the real meets, and there's two aspects to this, I think. The first one is that in the corner, I think they're a little bit hesitant on how to defend the pressure or offense that I'm running, right? So anyone that's doing this sort of pure strike throw mix is a little bit tough for them. And then I think also in neutral, and part of it might just because they're modern, right? They don't quite know how to, or they're not quite comfortable approaching, right? So you can see I'm kind of standing at a range where it makes their buttons, makes it kind of uncomfortable to press, is the idea. Oh, I think I need to be punishing that with, there you go. With a stand light kick instead. I think it's got to be a cancel there. Alright, see the deal with throw loop. Got to make a decision. That's a good one. Okay, doesn't press when they're minus, so that's good. Oh, good anti-air. They haven't really been anti-airing me as much. Oh, that was nice. Uh-oh. That's not good for me. Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. So I woke up with a button there, right? Because they had been going for like these shimmy sort of options. Goes for parry there, that's good. I woke up with a button, I think. I guessed parry one too many times. Alright, whiffs it there. They don't go for a lot of techs, which is interesting. Oh. Oh, no DP for me. Level 3 me here, right? Oh. Needed to level 3. Didn't do it. Didn't do it. Maybe not. Okay, they wake up challenge a lot mid-screen, right? Like, you've seen it maybe twice after a knockdown. I've been getting counter hits off. Oh. And that built-in delay is so good. Oh, I drop it? Come on. That's lame. Okay. No, I think I have an idea what's going on. Let's bring him back on. Hey, braT, what do you think?
I think I just get like pretty like jumpy, dude. Like low key, and I'm like I struggle like to get myself back into the game, and I think that's why I struggle against like the characters that I do struggle with,
Hmm.
because it's just like I'm like looking for my turn back, and
Yeah.
so like that's just another thing. I don't know like when I can do that against a lot of these characters. Like
Right. Right.
I
Like
don't know a lot of like frame data in this game. I kind of just
yeah.
play.
Yeah. What I was kind of noticing was that you have a sense of like you want to press, like you want to challenge what I'm doing, or you want to take your turn back kind of aggressively. But there are some situations where maybe it wasn't like you get counter hit out of it, right? Like there were some situations where maybe I was plus, or you got frame trapped, or something in Oki, right? I think that what it comes down to is that in some of these situations, you kind of have to reel back or kind of reel back the want to take your turn back aggressively, and kind of pay attention to the offense that's being run, right? So what I mean by that is that like there's a couple situations, and we'll take a look at the replay here. So let me bring this up in Discord. This should work here. One sec. There we go. So you should be able to see it now, hopefully.
Yep.
Cool. So let me hop into the replay review, and we'll take a look at one of these. I think this one's probably the one. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. Actually, this one might be good. Let's take a look here. So this is one where you won a round. So let's take a look at what happened. But yeah, the main thing I think that you might be struggling with is that the frame data aspect. Now, I won't say that you necessarily need to know frame data in particular, right? Like, it's kind of nerdy and no one really does. I'm just kidding. But I mean, it's kind of nerdy, right? You don't really have to know that. But what you should know is like general sense of what buttons you can and can't press against, right? So in Street Fighter 6, for the most part, like most buttons are minus, right? Like all of Ken's buttons are minus anyway. And a bunch of them are minus on block. Almost the majority of buttons out there, right? There's only a couple of them that are really plus or you need to worry about. Unless you have Drive Rush, right? So Drive Rush does change that a little bit. But what I think was happening for you here was that like the neutral aspect, you maybe didn't feel comfortable at the spacing that I was standing at, right? Like it was difficult for you to press buttons because it felt like you were probably getting hit a lot, right? So like once you lose a neutral interaction and you're stuck trying to defend an Oki situation or a knockdown, I think you were defaulting to trying to press or be aggressive versus blocking overall, right? And then that kind of leads into what you were saying where you felt like you get kind of steamrolled by these knowledge check characters, is because those situations they're putting you in means that you can't really press, right? So like they enforce those plus frames, which means that you're getting counter hit a lot. And I think that's what's happening here. So let's take a look at this one. Now you won this round, so let's see what worked for you here. All right, so dive kick there, right? I don't count. I don't DP this. So like I think if I had low forwarded there, went for like a low forward or something like a crouching medium kick, I think that would have been good. Unfortunately, I didn't, and you were a little bit late on the dive kick there, right? So, and then unfortunately that means that your recovery is kind of because you hit me kind of high. You're stuck in recovery. Right, so put in the situation here. So right here, right? So right here, if you look, I miss my Oki, right? So I actually am a little bit late on the dash. But normally, after that situation, Ken would be plus, right? He'd be +5 in that scenario. So let's see what you do here. I elect to press, right? And you do nothing. You block. This is perfect, right? Actually, you tech, I'm sorry. So I think that's okay, right? You went for an active defensive option. Now, I'm trying to think if I had been throwing you a lot, and I feel like I was in this set, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the delay tech kind of makes sense here, right? Because I have been going for throw a lot. So I think this is fine. This is a fine defensive option, right? But now the situation is that you've taken a hit. You don't lose that much life, right? Because Ken doesn't really do that much damage mid-screen, right? So the issue now is that you're kind of back you're back closer to the corner than I am, and now my goal is to try to get you to the corner. So let's see how you get out of this. All right, so now I got you in the corner, right? This is not great. Let's see how you do. All right, good dive kick. Excellent, perfect, right? So look at this situation, how you handled this, right? Like, I'm trying to put you in the corner, score a knockdown. You make a read on my button with a jump dive kick, hit me, and then you throw me, right? And you can see what I did was I did a delay. I tried to do a delay button here, right? So I ended up getting thrown for it. So it's good, right? You were able to navigate that situation. Okay. So what I did notice was that you aren't really anti-airing a bunch, unfortunately, right? So Juri's gives you modern gives you the horizontal or the DP, right, for her cartwheel.
Yeah, it's the heavy one, so
Yeah,
it just
heavy.
like goes mega far.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah. Well, what I will say is that I think that like if you had DP'd in the situation, I think you get me here. Oh, not here. Right here. So like if I were to, all right. So I think I can take over. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta figure out what button is my special. Okay, it's that one. Oh, you get counter hit, huh? Yeah, maybe can't do it here. Interesting. Is that right? Okay. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Maybe that jump, the way it was, probably, I guess you can't do it. But there were some instances where I did jump on you, and I think you had an opportunity to anti-air me here, right? So that would be something I would take a look at, especially with Modern. It makes it a little bit easier. You can get away with a little bit more, meaning you can DP a lot later because it's a single input for you, right? So
Mhm.
just be aware of those situations, right? If you feel like you're getting jumped on a lot, take a step back and try to think about anti-airing a little more, right? Because a few of the situations that you had me in, I get out because I jump, right? So anyway. All right, so this was a good response here for the DP. I was kind of Jinraiing you a lot in the other games. In Burnout, it's a little tough, obviously, right? You tried to super and got clipped for it. But I think that when you have meter and you don't want to deal with the mix-up, this is a reasonable response. Okay, walk up throw. And I think I throw loop you here. Okay, good response, right? That's like a hard call out to a throw, though, right? So if I shimmied you there, I think if I shimmy you there, are you still safe after the EX dive kick? Let's see. Yeah, okay, right here. Yeah, so I might be able to get away with this, right? That might happen, right? Or this.
Mhm.
Right, if I shimmy. So if you're reading throw, like a hard call out to the throw, or a hard call out to like a low button, because I think that works too, right? If I do a low button here, right, it whiffs. So like I think that that's an all right option, right? But something I want you to think about more, I think, is that when you're in the corner on defense, try to consider options that beat multiple options, if that makes sense, right? Because like the jump will only beat throw, and it'll probably be even with some other options, right? Like if I shimmy you or if I meaty you, right? If I meaty you, you're gonna get hit, right? But if I do a shimmy, if I do neutral jump shimmy, if I do the nothing, right? Like there's some options that I do that will beat what you're gonna do, right? Or maybe not beat it, but you won't be able to get out of the corner from that, right? So if you're only beating throw, and it's a hard call to a throw, I think that's okay. But you could probably do better, right? So in that situation, if you think I'm going to keep throw looping you, like even you think I'm going to throw you, you could also go for something like an EXDP, right? That would also kind of work. You could also try to do a wake up low, right? A wake up option like a button or something like that. Basically, try to change up what you're doing there, right? And consider like what defensive options could beat potential offensive options from me, right? And that's something that I think you'll have to pick up as you play more, mostly because like the options that characters have is going to be different, right? Like a Sagat doing something is going to look different than what I'm doing here, right? But I do think that like while you're getting throw looped, you do have to make a decision on when you want to do that DP, right? Or when you want to do that option. And I think you did fine, right? To be honest, I think it was okay. You took a little bit of damage here, but you're able to get out of the corner. But that is something that, and we'll see throughout the games how well you defend the corner, right? So let's take a look. Yeah, so that works. Unfortunately, the EX dive kick doesn't hit me. Would have been nice if it did. right? So all through this, right, like these pressure here, right? So I think what was going through your head, and correct me if I'm wrong here, was that you weren't quite sure when you could press, right? Like when is it time to take your turn back? Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I will say is that again, like I was saying, most buttons are minus, right? So what I think you can try doing, and this is something that if you don't want to look up frame data and you don't want to like do that research and all that, you can start trying stuff in game, right? So generally, and we'll look at the frame data here to back up what I'm saying, but generally after drive rush, the button that you block after the drive rush is going to be plus to some extent, right? So that's 0. So you could have pressed here, but you didn't. It's okay, right? Right here. So you can see like you're -4 here. So if I continue pressing here and you decide to try to challenge, you get counter hit, right? By, you know, my next button, basically. But this button, after the drive rush button is blocked, this is going to be minus most of the time, right? Minus, you know, again, you have to look at specific characters, maybe like Sagat or like Sagat, who has like the stand medium punch that's going to be plus on block, or like someone like Aki, or, you know, some other characters that have plus on block normals. But generally speaking, the button after the drive rush here is going to be minus on block, right, for the attacker. So your turn is now, right? So you can press your 4-frame, maybe even a 5-frame button because you're +2 here, to try to catch the next thing I do or take your turn back, right? So if you decided to jab here, right, maybe that one doesn't reach, you can try this, right? Something like that to take your turn back aggressively. And that'll catch me if I'm trying to steal the turn, right? So that's something that a lot of these knowledge check characters do, is that they'll put you in a plus situation where you are actually plus, it's your turn, but it doesn't look like it, doesn't seem like it. You try to, and then if you don't press right away, they'll steal the turn by pressing again, right? So they may be -1, -2, but then they just continue pressing their buttons and it feels like you never get a chance to do anything, right? But in reality, there's a sliver of time there where you can try to challenge, right? And normally what people do is you want to challenge with a button that will reach them, that may not hit, but at least you'll stop them from being able to press their next button, right? So like you saw there, the jab might whiff, right, if you try to take your back with that. But if you do a crouching medium kick right there, it would have hit me, right? I would have blocked it, but at least if I tried to steal the turn, then you would have been able to hit me, right? So these situations, I think, is where you might have been struggling with the most, was that like there are times where I didn't do anything because my turn is effectively over, but you didn't do anything either, right? So I just kind of continued what I was doing, which is to walk forward and press more buttons, and you were kind of being passive about it, right? Because you were afraid of getting counter hit. So what I will say is that, again, like if you don't want to do, you know, all of the frame data research, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, like I don't like doing that stuff either. But if you don't know, I would say try something, right? Try after the button after the drive rush. So drive rush happens, there's a button, right? That one's going to be a plus on block. The one after that, try taking a turn back and see what happens, right? Try taking it back with like a light, maybe a medium. Heavies are generally not going to be good to take a turn back with, but like try it, right? Try with a light, try with a medium, see what happens. And then you have to kind of, this is part where you do have to take note though, right? Like what was working, what doesn't work, right? So if you notice your jab whiffs, okay, maybe that spacing doesn't make sense to try to take a turn back. But you saw the crouch medium kick worked, right? So if I, as Ken, decided to continue trying to press after that with like some other button that wasn't the target combo, then you may get a counter hit on me and your offense gets started, all right? Crouching medium kick, drive rush into combo, right? Something like that. So that kind of aspect, the turn aspect, I think, might be something you'll have to play with more, right? Meaning be okay with taking your turn back and trying stuff, right? Because at worst, you know, maybe you get hit, right? But then there may be situations where you hit them and now you force them to change what they're doing, and then all of a sudden the situation's now different, right? And maybe you're not going to have to deal with that same mix-up again, right? So see, right there, right? Good. Yeah, the burnout's a little tough here. And I get it though, right? Because I've been kind of doing a bunch of stuff, right? And you're able to drive rush cancel here, right? But if you had like a meterless conversion off of the crouching medium kick, like Fuha or something, that might not be a bad option, right? So right here, after this, where you're like, oh, I don't have meter for a drive rush anymore, like I'm gonna burn out, maybe in your head consider, okay, in my next crouching medium kick, I'm just gonna buffer into a Fuha or something instead, right? Or whatever save cancel or pseudo save cancel that Juri has. Again, meter
Yeah,
preserving
I think
meter.
yeah, the medium kick can go into like everything. So,
Yeah,
but also,
yeah.
so I wasn't really looking at the
Get
the
the
meter
meter. Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
tough because you're paying attention to what I'm doing. You're trying to think about what the next step is, and then you have to look at this thing too. It's hard, right? So that's just something you have to think about. Like if you see brown here, your mind has to go, oh, okay, I can't drive rush anymore. Unless it's gonna kill, right? If I'm like this much health and the drive rush is gonna kill me, then it doesn't matter, right? But in this situation here, it can be hard to justify the drive rush because I mean you win this round, so it's okay. But at this moment right here, you're in a good position, but you're burned out. I have meter, right? And I can defend.
Mhm.
So I like to super here. And now you're kind of in trouble, right? Now, again, we know you win the round. So I guess, you outplay me and I make a mistake at some point, or both of those things happen. But from this position here, this is kind of difficult, right? We're full screen. I have the life lead and you're burned out, right? Now you do have meter, like a level 1 here. So that's, you could potentially super out of a DI attempt. But this is precarious now, right? It's hard to win from here. So let's see what happens. Good DP. All right. Use the stock to keep this safe. Ooh. All right. So I used 2 stocks there to keep that safe. That's okay. So I should have won it here. I should have drivers canceled it into it. Ended up canceling with fireball for some reason. Get me there. Throw. Ah. Good super. So, that was good because you got your meter back in the middle of that. So once you got your meter back, this is now, you can definitely interrupt this, so that's good. Alright, and then dash up throw, right? So this was good. I elected not to tech. I elected to delay jab instead, right? Because you had been going for a bunch of situations where you kind of get in my face, then you back up, right? Like you weren't really applying meaty pressure as much, right? So that was a good round for you, right? Like you're able to come back from that because of the wake up level 1, and then you're able to mix, get an effective mix up at the dash up, right? But that was pretty precarious, right? So once you burned out, it's pretty difficult to try to come back from that because you don't have meter to extend combos anymore, and I had a life lead, right? So I was willing to kind of trade a little bit of life to see if I can get a situation where I could try to hit you, right? But it worked out, so that was good. All right, so right here, right? So this situation happened to you kind of a lot. All right, so I dash up. All right. Ken at this point is +1, right? So I have advantage here, and you go for your 4 frame, and I go for my 4 frame, right? And you get hit counter hit out of this, right? So again, I don't necessarily hate the idea to mash in this situation. If you knew I was +1, but then the throw is actually fake, right? If I go for a throw, he'll counter hit me. So mashing is not like the worst option, like waking up with a button. But if I had been going for these kind of enforced plus frames where I'll catch a frame, like I'll frame trap you if you try to do any wake up option, that means that you have to adjust your defense until I stop doing that, right? So I think like going for just blocking it out, because it is just jabs, right? If you're just blocking it out or going for like delay techs might not be a bad option here. Doing that, choosing that option more often, basically, right? Because here you get counter hit, right? So you take a little bit more damage than you probably should have or needed to if you had just blocked out that scenario, right? So here it looks like you actually pressed, right? Let's see. Oh, okay. Never mind. You just press the button after. That's totally fine. Guest on the Jinrai. That sucks. I do this to people a lot, right? It's like all the Jinrai mix and all that. I do have a video on dealing with Jinrai if you wanted to look at that, but realistically, you just kind of have to make a guess. And you guess parry, not a bad option there. But I do think that like sometimes you have to go for the DP, right? Or just block it out. Right. So here, what happened? How'd you get hit? Oh, are you trying to jump?
Yeah, I was trying to do
The
the jump medium again.
instant air, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So, like, I had noticed that you were going for those kind of options, right? Because you did that to me last game and previous games. You had been going for that jump. So you can see what I do here is I'm just going for like this kind of meaty jabs and meaty pressure, right, to stop that. So I think like just blocking more probably would have been good. So you do it again and get out, right? It's totally fine. And then here I think was a tough one. So right here, oop. All right. So you get your light string, and then you whiff this button, right? And that's what happens. So if you look at what actually happened, if you look at the frame meter here, let's see if I can get to it. All right. So right here, right at this point, both of us are neutral. So now neither of us, it's really our turn, right? It's like whoever, we're both can press. So the issue that happens here is that you press a button that whiffs, right? I like to press a button that won't whiff, right? So from right here, there's something I could talk about here. From right here, this situation right here, ideally, you have a sense of like how far each of your buttons will go, right? So your jab's probably going to whiff. Your stand medium punch is going to whiff, right? What would reach? Maybe your crouching medium kick. Maybe the crouching medium button that you have would probably reach. And the stand heavy option you have will probably reach too, right? Maybe it's a little slow, but it'll reach. But your stand medium punch is going to whiff, right? So something that I think happens to folks a lot when they get into master and moving up is that this starts to get punished a lot more, right? This sort of thing that happens. Because I think like going up through diamond, right, you can kind of whiff buttons and people aren't really whiff punishing you for it, right? You're not really getting hit a lot for whiffing buttons in particular, right? And I think through a lot of low masters, like especially at the MRs you're at, from like say 1200 to 1400, the mid to low to mid master, what is happening I think is that people are kind of afraid to press and they don't really whiff punish. So like you probably get away with this a lot, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm gonna press, nothing happens, I back up, and that's it, right? But for me, what happens is I notice that you're at a space where my button will reach, right? So what actually is happening here is I'm pressing a button that I think will reach you, or in this case, I know will reach you because we're close, right? But you like to press a button that wasn't going to reach me, right? And then I get the punish counter for this. Like, this is not a whiff punish in particular. Like if you look here, this is a 10 frame window to react, right? I actually press in 10 frames. So this is not a whiff punish. Like I'm not reacting to this whiff and pressing my button. Instead, what's happening here is I'm pressing a button that won't whiff, and you just happen to whiff your button, right? So in the future in your games, like pay attention to when you get hit with like a punish counter and see if it was like, oh, did I whiff my button? Like I wasn't close enough, and did they whiff punish me? Or was it just because I whiffed the button and they happen to be pressing, right? So the way to deal with that is to not whiff, right? So walk a little closer or press a button that'll reach me, right? Because whiffing buttons in this game, especially as you start to get into the higher MRs, like just whiffing buttons will get you killed more often than not. Like happens to me all the time. Like I whiff one button and I'm dead, right? So something to keep in mind, right? You'll see how many more of these happen to you, right? Fortunately, Ken gets this combo. All right, that was good. So you press the button, made sense to press it, gotta cancel, good. Nice. Oh, no DP from me. So that was good jumping. Ooh, and then what happened here, right? How did this hit you, right? Let's take a look. Alright, so after this, you're a little late on the dash. My guess is you hesitated a little bit and were like, oh, what do I do here? And then you dashed, and I woke up with a jab because I thought it would hit you. Right? I thought your dash was a little late, and I went for it, right? So I think what happened here really was just you were late on the dash, right? So what I think you can do here is just be decisive when you're going to go into an Oki situation, right? So you get the knockdown, and then just dash here, right? Like in your head, you should kind of be like, oh, I want to dash. Like this is my option is to dash here. Like that's what you're selecting to do, so you should do it right away instead of kind of hesitating, right? So
Yeah, yeah. What had happened was I was like trying to mash out the super, and then just like my inputs were
oh, it didn't come
ass.
out.
So I thought that the super was gonna hit, and then I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, what do I do? And then
Yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
time to
I
dash in.
actually, I actually said that on. She was like, I think he's gonna super me here, or they're gonna super me here, and you didn't. But I wasn't sure if that was just a decision you made or whatever. Because if you super me, that may not kill me, but you know, you probably would have been close to burning me out, and then at least you're mix up away. But yeah,
Hmm.
I get it though. Like sometimes something happens, you're like, oh, what, and then you take a second. But yeah, I think in other situations, like be decisive on that Oki in general is what I would say. But
Hmm.
yeah, dropping the super that sucks. Okay. So that was a good challenge, right? So that run stop is generally fake from Ken there. He's actually minus. So if I try to do something there, you can hit me out of it. So I think that was fine. Yeah, so those situations like that, the cross-up jumps, I think, like, are you thinking that the DP is going to whiff if you go for it there?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, this situation right here, like, maybe it's going to whiff, but let's see. Right? So, remember that Juri's DP covers kind of a lot, right? Well, maybe not in the cross-up situation, but, like, even if I plant, that'll whiff, right? So if you don't move and it looks like it's gonna whiff, like yeah, that situation looks like it does whiff, unfortunately. But I do think that if you DP early enough, you probably catch that jump, or late enough too, right? So if you thought it was gonna whiff, I get it. I would say that what I would consider them is in that cross up range. So when Ken is in this, or when your opponent is in this cross up, that awkward cross up range, like here, I would think about changing your anti-air option from the DP to whatever button works for anti-airing for Juri here, right? So I think, I'm not sure exactly what button that is because I always just get DP'd by Juris. But let's see, what does she have that you can do? I
It would
want
just
to,
be like the medium DP manually or like the crouch heavy.
yeah, crouch heavy might work, right? So like that, like if you think I'm gonna jump here,
Mhm.
right? So like the idea would be that, well, if I'm at a range where your DP will hit, in your brain it's like primed to do a DP, right? So it's like, oh, if they jump, I'm gonna DP them. But if we're at a range where it's closer, like you know, it's like cross up range or awkward for the DP, then your mind switches to, okay, if they jump, I'm gonna do the crouching heavy kick instead, or a crouching heavy button instead, right? Which gives it the crouching heavy kick, I guess. So like priming your brain to be like, okay, this is how I'm going to anti-air, will can help a lot, right? Because like if you shut down the jump in for a lot of for a lot of people, especially at these kind of MRs, you're shutting down a ton of their offense, right? Like they won't be able to do a ton to you if they can't jump on you, right? So let's keep that in mind. To anti-air, like work on the anti-airs basically, right? If you think a medium DP manually inputted would work, that could work too. Oh, let's see. Right? If you can do that, right? So right, that's totally fine too. But if you're trying to just stick to the one button anti-air, crouching heavy button works just fine, right? Yep. Response good. Ooh. So that was kind of a mistake on my part. I'm not sure what I was pressing there, but I guess it hit. Whatever it was, you tried to dash, I think. Okay, so here's what I'll talk about. I'll talk about here is that in that scenario here, if you look at the frame data, your dash, I think Juri's forward dash is like 19 frames, right? Let me see, just to make sure I'm not lying to you. Forward dash is 22 frames. Okay, so I'm not going to talk too much about frame data, which I don't think I have so far, but here's where it's important, is that the recovery of your dash here is like I'm able to act way quicker than your dash finishes, right? So like if you look, I'm actually able to act. Oh, I'm sorry. Right, so after this happens, if I start mashing here, right? So I'm able to act right here, right? Right there. I'm already able to do something. So if you consider that this was the amount of time it takes for me to react to the dash, if I press anything, it's gonna counter hit you, right? Out of your dash. Or hit you out of your dash here. Right? So in these situations, like dashing can be kind of tough because it doesn't put you in any sort of frame advantage, and it puts you in a precarious situation where if the opponent mashes anything, they're gonna hit you. Right? I actually hit you with this is an 8-frame move here, right? Like this is an accidental input on my part. I might have been trying to input DP or something, but I end up hitting you with an 8-frame move that should not have hit basically, right? Like so, I think like these decisions that put you in a situation where you're susceptible to getting hit, you got to watch out for these, right? So, especially for someone like Juri, who does do a lot of dashing and drive rush, you do have to be careful about making sure that you keep yourself at advantage when you do that. Because alternatively, if you had decided to drive rush, which would have been expensive since you just TP'd, like if you had drive rushed instead, you actually get plus frames on the after that, right? So if we take a look at this. Let me see what my buttons are here. It's this, right? Okay. Right? So something like that could be better. Basically something that keeps the advantage on your side, right? So dashing there, you can see that kind of puts you in a pretty negative situation, a minus situation. So maybe that decision was not great. But like doing a drive rush or even just walking forward and taking up the space, because especially after EXDPs, like they don't always get Oki anyway. So it's kind of okay to just take up the space, right? Because the main thing for you is that you broke my pressure, right? You broke the Jinrai, so. Anyway, fortunately get hit. And so here was a challenge that I think if you had been reading I was going for throw was actually pretty good. But it is a little bit scary to do, right? So if you look, right? So if you look at the situation, you had just blocked a drive rush button, which means you're minus. But if you had a hard read or made a read that I was going to try to walk up and you decide to mash against that, I think that's fine, right? So if you thought I was going to do that, I think that's totally fine. You made a read on that. But in a vacuum though, it's very difficult to justify, right? You're -4, so that means I can press up to a 7-frame move and frame trap your jab here, right? So if I had enforced my plus frames at all, you would have gotten counter hit, right? So if you look at this from what I had been doing to you previously. Right, something like that'll happen where you'll get counter hit, and then I'll just confirm that into whatever I confirm it into. So again, if you're making a read that I wasn't gonna go for that, I think that's totally fine. But it is something you have to consider overall in your options, right? So if you do this too much, I'll switch back to maintaining and enforcing the plus frames, right? So, but otherwise, that was a good read, right? If you thought that I was going for that and did it, totally fine. Unfortunately, the confirm doesn't quite happen and you burn out for it. Right, so normally counter hit confirm. I think this might be too much. Maybe. Does Juri normally get a crouching medium kick here after a punish counter or a counter hit jab?
I don't know her jab counter hit conversions yet.
So +1 +6. That's one hit that is, and then her crouching medium kick is 8. So that doesn't combo, but I do think your auto medium would have. So I think what it has to be is. So let me see what my auto button is. I think it's this. There we go. So it's your auto medium, so the crouching medium punch. So that would be the conversion you want. So if you get a crouching light punch counter hit, your follow up button is a crouching medium punch or auto medium, right? That will hit. So I think that's what you'll have to do moving forward. And it's actually really good for Juri too, right? Like you can still drivers cancel that, and you can do all the things that you wanted to do with that. So that would be what I would do. Would be go into the auto medium. So because that's a conversion, right? That's a full conversion if you land that. Fortunately, this drops, but your drive rush into the heavy blows up delay tech, right? So this was killing me all game. And then you get Jin right to death here, I think, because you're in burnout, right? Yeah, and then here is just a full cash out for me, right? So I think... Oh, I dropped this, don't I? Yeah. But I think that the situation right here is kind of what puts you in the back foot, like watching your meter in this scenario here, going for the driver's cancel. If Juri has a safe cancel off the crouching medium, I think that would have been the play here. Because you burn out, and you don't really put me in a situation that is like super advantageous. Well, okay, you have me in the corner, you have the life lead, but you're burned out here, and you kind of back off, right? Because you're burned out. But realistically, you could have continued pressuring me here, right? You could have continued pressing buttons to see if you can get me to press something or try to catch me. Alternatively, after this conversion, you could have potentially supered here as well, right? This would get you a little bit more meter back, potentially, right? I don't know if that would have been the best decision overall, because then it would leave you with no meter and no super, and like, I'm not dead. But at least you'll be closer to getting your meter back, right? So... Right, and then here, and I drop it, and then you get caught. All right, so burnout is really tough to deal with against Ken in particular because of Jinrai, right? It's hard to, like, all the Jinrais are not safe, right? You can't super against it. You have to make a hard read if you're going to go for that. And I can just, delay my crouching medium kick and try to bait you. So what was happening here, though, was that you were trying to back up, right? So, and again, it's tough because you're in burnout, and I get it. But something that happens a lot to people is that when they block something like that, they have a tendency to try to back up. And I take advantage of that by doing low forward to the Jinrai, right? So, but yeah, I think like that's... So if I were to take anything away from these three games, the main thing, the thing that got you in trouble probably the most was trying to take a turn back in situations where you shouldn't be, right? Like you're pressing buttons when you were minus to some extent, and getting counter hit for it, especially on wake up. So on wake up, try to block a little bit more, and then in strings and stuff like that, when you take your turn back, you generally want to take a turn back after you block a button that wasn't out of drive rush, right? So if they do a low forward and drive rush and a button, like that button is going to be plus on block, and then the next button after that's going to be minus. So then is when you can take your turn back, right? And then you can do it with like a medium button potentially, depending on the button. So, and then the other part would be the meter management, right? So burning out in those situations, I think, was what kind of got you in the 2 rounds we looked at. When you did burn out, it was hard. You didn't really come back from that, right? It was difficult to deal with like Ken's Jinrai pressure and burnout. So the only solution to that is to not burn out in the first place, right? So, and yeah, I mean, anti-airs, everyone can be better anti-airs, right? I'll mention that once and won't mention it again. And then, yeah, those would be the things I would work on, right? So paying attention to, like, am I getting counter hit? What situations am I getting counter hit in? Maybe I should block on those. Be willing to try stuff. I don't mind that at all. Like, if you want to play by feel, totally fine. But you have to try stuff. You have to pay attention to the result of the things you're trying, right? Otherwise, yeah, cool. You have a replay you want to take a look at? You can send me.
Yeah, I have a couple that I played today.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, just drop the replay code in the chat. I'll take a look at it. Let's take a look at this one. All right, so let's booting up. Any thoughts, questions, thinking about right now? I know it's kind of a lot.
Yeah, no, I think like yeah, for sure. Like the anti-airs, I do get scared that like it's gonna like I'm just gonna go over them and then I just get mega punished
Yeah.
because you're like so minus off of like a whiff DP.
Mm-hmm.
And then like for like pressing the advantage, that's kind of just like an elo thing where like I really can't like press on people because they're just
You get
gonna
a reversal.
like yeah they're just
Yeah.
addicted to the reversals. That's why I
Yeah.
try to back off because I'm used to just like they're I test the like the wheel of fate whatever people do like on wake up see what they're like feeling and then
Yeah.
like if I know that they're DPing then I like give them I just block it and then
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
from
You
there.
go from there. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think of it this way, right? So, like, unless it's going to kill you, right? If it's going to kill you, I guess that changes the calculus a little bit. But realistically speaking, what happens when you get EXCP'd, right? If you get reversaled, like a super, okay, it's a lot of damage, but like if they do a wake up DP, wake up EXCP, they have to spend 2 bars. They get like 1,700 damage, right? And you get blown back, right? They get out of your pressure, but that's it, right? But if you happen to be correct when you're doing your meaties or whatever, and they make a mistake or they get hit by it, like you are able to deal way more damage than that, right? Like a conversion from a counter hit on Juri, and you have stock or something like that, or you want to spend a little bit, you can deal some pretty good damage with a meaty button that hits, right? So, like the risk reward, I think, again, unless it's gonna kill you, then I totally get it. But risk reward wise, I think a lot of times it's more rewarding to go for that like versus getting hit by, if that makes sense, right? Like the downside is you lose a little bit of health and some positioning, but the upside is so much good, so much better, right? So, but yeah, I totally get it though. Like people reversal all the time, right? So how you don't know when that guy's gonna do that, right? So, so let's take a look at this one and see what happens here. Ooh, okay. So how did you get hit? Let's see. Oh, I try to challenge. So fireball, you try to challenge this and you get hit. Okay. Yeah, that's tough, right? So blocking a fireball from Akuma here, right? Especially the light. He's already drive rushing at you, right? So this is kind of difficult to try to challenge because you're still in recovery here, right? Yeah, until here. So I think that like this is incredibly strong from Shotos that have the fireball drive rush option to them. The counterplay to this is actually to stand a little bit closer, a little bit further away, right? A little bit closer will make it such that they can't recover in time, like you recover before they do. Same thing with further away, right? Wait, hold on, let me say that again. If you're standing closer, right, you'll recover sooner, right? You'll continue blocking, or I don't want to say this one. Yeah, I'm not saying this correctly. One sec. Let's take a look at the frame here, right? So if you're standing closer, right, I think that you would recover a little bit sooner here from here and be able to DP. So let's take a look. Oh, I didn't have that right. So there's the parry, right? They're drive rushing at you. So if you were standing closer, I take it back. If you were standing closer, you wouldn't have the chance to press, right? So because they would close the gap and this button would be coming out and you'll be standing a little bit closer, so you get hit here. So you still be blocking, right? So like in that scenario here, you wouldn't be able to challenge, but you would still parry their button coming in, right? Subsequently, if you're standing further away, you may potentially have a little more frames here to try to challenge, right? That all said, I think that trying to press against this is difficult because like this button's coming at you and it, the hitbox is already out. If that makes sense, right? So the solution here is either to stand closer and just block everything out, or stand further and then just try to parry the fireball, and then you could potentially challenge or do a DP here, right? You could also derev, right? So if like in this situation here, okay, continue parry. Wait, where's my DF? Right, something like that to stop the pressure. You do end up spending a bar, 2 bars to their 1. So it's not always a good idea. But I think it's definitely a good idea if they do an EX Fireball, right? So like Akis do this all the time, right? They'll throw the EX Fireball, the bubble, and then drive rush behind it, right? So what I try to do there is I will parry the Fireball and then derev the button as they're coming in the drive rush, right? Like that way the meter expenditure means that I'm up a bar because they have to spend 3 to my 2 and their pressure is done, right? They get knocked back, right? So that's something to consider. Alternatively, what people do, and this happens to me a lot, is they'll perfect parry the option coming in, right? So it looks something like this. Where's my parry button? I think it's this. Oops. Is it this? Yeah. Right. Right. Well, imagine I perfect parried there, right? But they would try to perfect parry the button coming in by pressing it a second time, basically, right? So that is something you consider as well. But I do think just holding parry or blocking it out from that distance is probably more optimal, right? If you really don't want to deal with the mix-up coming in, derev is also pretty good, right? So something to consider. Trying to challenge, though, can be very difficult, right? Unless you do an EXDP, right? So you could just do this instead. I think it's... Nope, it's not that. There's an auto button. There we go. So it's like that. Right? Especially because you're on modern, right? You could just rip the EXDP there once you see the green flash. So like you parry the fireball, the green flash happens, you start mashing DP, like EXDP, and you'll blow them up, right, as they come up. So if you want to spend like that, those 2 options could be a way to do that, right? And what will happen too a lot of times is that like people will stop doing that because you keep responding and it gets blown up. So then they just stop doing the fireball drive rush, right? So something to consider because you have some options. But I do think that challenging with a button is a little bit tough. Of course, you get hit. Okay. All right, so here I think you get hit by the overhead. It's okay. And then here you get hit because you're trying to jump after the drive rush, right? So, again, I think like after the drive rush happens, like you block a button in the drive rush, I think you should just block or delay tech if you really feel like you want to delay tech. But trying to jump out of the situation is going to get you hit, I think, because the drive rush is coming, right? Like if there's a cancel and like you don't have enough time to jump out of that situation. Right, now I have to deal with the Akuma corner mix. Right, he doesn't okay. Oh, that's an unfortunate drop. This was good though. So you get out of the corner. He doesn't DP you. Right, he gets counter hit because he tries to challenge. Right, you get your drive rush cancel, but you drop the combo, unfortunately, right? So that's unfortunate, but I think you had the right idea here. You finish a combo with the Fuha or whatever it is, right? And then, or for the store rather. And then you continue from there, right? Yeah, it sucks. Okay, so what happened here? He caught you as you were jumping, right? So this was just unfortunate timing, I think. So if you look at this situation here, the Akuma is really just pressing when he's close to you, right? Yeah, he gets to jump in. And look at the timing when he presses. He moves up, tries to shimmy you because he thinks you can DP. You wake up with a jab that whiffs. He whiffs his button. Waits, and then he just delays a little bit and then presses, right? And then you happen to get hit while you're trying to jump, right? So was that a read on his part? I don't think so. Like, was that some, godlike thing he did? No. I think what happened was he just like walked into a range where his button would reach, waited a second to see if he'd do anything, and then just decided to press, right? It just happened to catch you, so it's unfortunate. But if we take anything away from this guy, though, from this round, I think where you actually got kind of beat here was because you weren't able to block the overheads. You take that damage. So there's that, and then you get jumped in on, right? So actually, I take it back. It's not just the overheads here. It was really the anti-airs, right? And that one scenario here. So let's take a look at this whole round again. There was this interaction here. You got hit. Got overheaded. He doesn't complete the combo. But then you get kind of opened up here because he went for something that would get hit if he did, right? So if you had pressed the button or tried to jump or something like that, you're doing these things in situations where those options will get hit, basically, right? So I think that's what might be getting you more often than not, is you're trying to do something and like the default option that the opponent is going for beats that, right? And then here it's just unfortunate drop, and then the anti-air like the lack of anti-air happens, right? So I think like if you on defense elect to just block more, I think that'll help a ton in these situations, right? Just block it out, wait for them to finish whatever they're trying to do, and then you go back to neutral, right? And then from there you can try to play your game again. So. Oh, good check. Okay. Yeah, that was good, right? So he whiffs this button. You wake up with the button. Happens to hit him. Worked out. Good throw. Okay. So that's good. So this sequence. Oh, this is dope. Okay, so I like this. So you land this, right? After he whiffs. Get the throw. Drive rush in. Right? And you see what happened, right? What was happening to you, where he was trying to go for an option that was going to get hit. He did the same thing. He tried to jump against your drive rush, which is going to get hit like almost every time. Unless you went for like a throw, maybe, I guess. But even if you went for throw here, you could probably DP them here. But they went for an option that's going to get hit by a drive rush button. Right, and that's what you hit them with, right? So like he was doing what you were kind of doing, where you're picking an option that's gonna get hit by the default thing coming out, right? And then throw, okay, pressure, okay, good. And then there's the DP that you know and love that was coming.
Yeah.
Right? So good call, right? Obviously backing off here, not overextending, just letting them hang themselves. Perfect. Oh, does that not combo? Because that's not the first time that didn't work for you. Let's see. Did you drop it here? Let's see. I mean, you're a frame late on the crouching medium punch. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, to be honest, but this should combo if I'm not mistaken. But at any rate, you get away with the DI. But look at what happened in this scenario, right? In this round. All right, so you get a conversion after this Oki situation that you play correctly, right? Like meaning in fact he lucky he was late here, because he would actually gotten punish counter throw, and if his parry comes out, drive rush option here that beats the jump, and if you did like a wake up button or something, I think it beats that as well. And then he gets hit DI'd here, right? Reaction check doesn't happen. And then you don't overextend, he gets impatient, EXDP, and then this round should be over, right? So if you look at the sequencing that happened there, though, right? Like you went for kind of these Oki options that allow you to continue Juri pressure, and he folded to them, right? He tried to do something active that would lose to the default option that you were doing, right? Drive rush button, which is like what everyone does. So that's what I mean when I say that, like, in these scenarios, like being more conservative in terms of your defensive option goes a longer way, because if he had just blocked out any of those situations, the round doesn't snowball on him, right? He gets out of the situation, goes back to neutral, you have to win another neutral interaction, and then that will be, you know, how the round goes, right? Changes the texture of the round. In this case, he was trying to get out of the pressure that he was feeling, and then ended up paying for it, right? Because he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to try to jump, or I'm going to try to press a button, and then here, oh, I don't want to deal with this anymore, I'm going to DP, right? So let's see what happens in this round. Good check again. Little anti-air. So that is something that I would note, right? If your opponent can't anti-air you, keep jumping at them, right? Like, if they can't DP, that's on them, right? So just keep jumping at them. Same thing he's doing to you, right? Okay. So, again, like, really what happens here is that you guys both blink, but he happened to press a little bit sooner, right? So I wouldn't be too mad about that overall. I would consider like if that's happening to you, where you're kind of getting hit like after those stare downs, I would consider either pressing sooner or just continuing to block, right? Like don't try to back up because you probably get hit doing that, but just continue blocking, right, and wait to see what they do. So, fortunately, Kuma does that. Okay. So that time it worked, right? Your check, and you can see why, right? Like the distance is different, right? When we looked at the previous example, he was a little bit closer, right? Like he was probably standing around here. Whereas in this one, he's probably closer to full screen. Right? So if you look now, there was a little bit more time for your jab to come out, right? Versus the previous situation, it didn't work, right? Now, this is difficult. And I'll say it's difficult to like know for sure that your button's going to check them or not, right? So this is a bit of a risk on your part to do. Now, of course, it works out because you check them, so it's okay. But the other options I talked about are a little more like, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's more likely to work, right? Like if you do the parry, fireball, and you EXDP, right, or the drive reversal, it's a little bit more likely to work, right? So this is kind of a risk, but if you want to roll that way, that's totally fine, right? Like as long as you're making a conscious decision to challenge that and not just autopiloting the jab, I think it's totally fine. That's unfortunate. Okay, so he's burned out here, right? So his meter management was not great. He burned out in this situation. Now he has you in the corner with a little bit of life lead. But this is a situation where you could probably turn it around if you get 1 or 2 clean hits. So let's see what happens. Oh, that was your opportunity. Unfortunate. And then you burn out, right? So now we have to deal with both characters in burnout, but he's going to be metered before you are. So let's see what happens. Good DP. Oh, missed Oki. Jab gets blown up, right? Let's see. Yeah. So, waking up with the button, right? I think you, again, like you did a lot, so just be careful when you're doing that. A wake up button needs to be a specific response to something your opponent is doing. So this Akuma hasn't really shimmied you, right? Hasn't really neutral jumped you or done anything other than a meaty option on wake up, right? From what I've seen so far. Like most of the time he's going for continuing his pressure, right? So if that's the case, then you have to try to block it out. If you had meter, you have some options. You could also super potentially if you wanted to reversal here. But a wake up button can be kind of risky. So what I would say is that like the thing that what does wake up button beat in particular, right? Let's think of it that way. So wake up button, if you do that, would beat a neutral jump, right? So if they neutral jump, your button comes out and then you can DP them, right? So neutral jump shimmy. If they go for a shimmy, you'll hit them, right? Like your jab will come out and they'll block it. So that means their pressure is done. If they go for a meaty throw or a meaty strike, like meaty, meaty button of some kind or meaty throw, you're gonna lose, right? Because it's not gonna. Since they're meaty, right? That means it's gonna frame trap you basically, right? It also beats technically a delay option from them, right? So if they walk up and they do like a delay button, a delay medium, or like a delay tech on offense, your wake up button is gonna beat that, right? If you do like a wake up jab or wake up 7 frame. Right? So, like, what I'm trying to get at is that the things that you will beat with a wake-up jab are not generally the default things that people do on Oki, right? Like, most people will go for a strike throw, right? They'll go for a meaty button, a meaty throw, or potentially shimmy, right? But in that scenario, you're losing to 2/3 of the options, right? So two out of 3 times, if those are only the 3 options that you're seeing, 2/3 of the time, if you wake up with a button, you're going to lose, right? In fact, you're going to lose a lot because you counter hit by this button, right? Whereas if you just block, you're going to beat it 2/3 of the time, if that makes sense, right? If you just block, you block the meaty strike, and if they shimmy, then nothing happens, right? You'll still lose a throw, but I think winning 2/3 of the time versus losing 2/3 of the time is better, right? So, oh, it goes into super. Okay, so now this is tough. Right? This is guess for game situation here. He has full meter, full life lead. Even if you wake up super and get him, he's not going to be dead, right? So let's see what happens. Oh, he thought you were going to super. Okay. Oh, and then he does this and you lose to it, right? So this time to super would have been Oh, you were mashing it already. Okay, so the burnout is what got you then, right? So we talked about like if you had block a fireball, you'd have a gap to try to super through it. There's no gap anymore. Right? That entire sequence was gapless, right? Because of your burnout. And then he just like stops doing what he's doing, doesn't press anymore, and then he baits you for this, right? So yeah, and this one right here, right? If I were to try to categorize how this kind of fell apart, I would say that the situations where you probably shouldn't be pressing or you should be blocking, or sorry, situations where you should have been blocking, you were trying to press, right? So you're trying to be aggressive here, and then right here was a missed opportunity. That's okay, right? That happens. But that right here, this burnout here, this will put you in a situation where you're kind of on the back foot. Like now you have pressure here, throw mix up, whatever. But once this happens, now you're in trouble, right? It's unlikely you get your bar back before he does, right? He has an Oki scenario for you here. He has full drive, right? So he can do some real damage to you and keep you in burnout, right? So that's what made it tough. And he does, right? Wasn't a super here, so yeah. I think like if I were to try to sum up where I think you can improve, the main things would be in those knockdown scenarios on defense, just block a little more, right? So when you get knocked down, be willing to block, be willing to wait it out a little bit, and not like try to do something aggressive right away, right? Once your opponent starts doing things that you can jump on, like they start shimmying you or they start doing other things that aren't meaty strikes or meaty throws, then you can consider changing your defensive option, right? But generally speaking, like just blocking most of the time is going to be the way to get out of those scenarios. Similarly, for situations in neutral where you block a button after a drive rush, if you try to press on their plus frames autopiloted, like on default, by default, you're going to get hit more often than not, I think. So you have to be careful there. Just try blocking a little more, but definitely take your turn back after the button they press after the drive rush button, right? So like for Ken, if I do drive rush, crouching medium punch into stand medium punch, after that second button, you can try taking a turn back, right? So that would be the main thing there. I think that's probably the biggest thing. The second thing would be your meter management, so trying not to burn out in situations where it'll put you kind of on the back foot. And then the last thing would be anti-airs, right? I think if you clean up those aspects of your game, I think you're going to start doing better in some of these matches, right? You'll find yourself burned out less and have more options, basically. So, cool. What do you think? Does it sound in line with what you're thinking, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that for sure, like just blocking more and not like wanting
Blocking.
to like
Yeah.
press the like the advantage that I don't have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And again, like, there's nothing wrong with pressing when you're minus, right? I do it all the time, and I do it to people all the time. But it has to be in response to something that's already happening, right? So, like, by default, I can't do that because most people keep their frame traps pretty tight, right? So, like, they're going to enforce their plus frames. But once you start blocking those situations, people will rotate what they're doing, right? So it's like, oh, I keep going for this plus frame situation, and Juzzy always blocks. What do I do next, right? So maybe now I'll try to do something else. So once I get a sense of like them trying to do something else, that's when I can start pressing that button when I'm minus, right? Because I'm taking advantage of a situation that I've kind of manufactured by defending their initial mix-up successfully, right? Because that happened. I'm sure that happens to your games all the time, right? Where it's like, oh, this guy is doing fireball drive rush all the time. Once I start EXCPing that drive rush, they stop doing the fireball drive rush, right? Like stop doing the option that is now getting beat. And that's kind of similar to what's happening in those other kind of scenarios, right? So, yeah. Cool. So with that said, I don't think there's anything I really want to lab in particular. So do you want to run it back? You got time for the first three, or you got to go?
Yeah.
All right, let's
No,
do it.
no.
Let's do it. All right. Cool. So for this set, what I want you to focus on really is just trying not to press right away. Just block through pressure, and then watch your meter if you can. But like, your instinct's gonna be like, oh, I'm getting hit, I should press something. Try not to. Just try blocking it out and seeing what happens, right? And see if that changes the texture of the rounds at all. So we'll leave the mics hot because it's funny. And yeah, good luck.
Yeah, man.
Nice. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's tough. Without meter there, that's a really tough burnout. Nice. Oh, try to jump. Uh-oh. Ah! That was game? The throw loop. Nice. Nice. Oh. Nice. There it is. Oh.
Something to learn like when it counts as a
Uh,
drive reversal
yeah,
instead of just
just
like a wake up drive
you just hold it
impact.
down. Like if you just hold down the forward plus DI on wake up, it'll give you D-rev. You don't have to time it. Nice. I wonder if I cash out there that kills you or not. Not sure. Oh, I would have. Dang. Oh, careful. Nice. Ooh, wrong parry. Uh-oh. There you go. Oh, shit. Oh, that was sick. Oh, no. So, what I will say is I think that you defended a lot of those kind of, like, neutral interactions where you block something. You defended those a lot better this time. Like, you weren't necessarily getting caught out, and I was having to do other things to get my damage, right? So I had to open you up in kind of other ways. But you see how much better I think you did in those rounds, right? You were able to take a round off me, and a lot of it had to do with, like, how you were able to not get hit a ton mid-screen like that, right? Like, not giving up a ton of damage that way. And then you had some effective mix-ups, right? So, like, you know, Juri has good strong throw loops, right? Strong corner pressure, that type of thing. So, cool, man. But yeah, I think, like, those would be the things I would work through, right? Is just trying to consciously block a little bit more and try to keep the, you know, try to reset back to neutral as best you can in those kind of block driver situations. So, yeah. So, what do you think? Seem reasonable? Seem okay? Hopefully, it's actionable. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it definitely just seems like something that I would be building over time. I don't think it was like something that I just like don't have.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and you saw it here, right? Like, I know you were consciously thinking about trying not to press buttons, right? Like, trying to break that habit, and it's tough because you're doing something that you weren't doing before. But you saw, like the result of that was you defended more of the situations successfully, which meant that you had more life to use later on, right? And you were able to stay in the round longer, right? And all that. So, but yeah, man, because yeah, if you're not getting hit by those things, you're not taking damage from that. The round goes longer, right? Because you're not taking damage. So. Cool. Yeah, I think that's all I would say. I think that's probably the biggest things for you. So, anything else before you wrap up?
no, I think that's it, man. Yeah,
Cool. Cool.
pretty good.
Hope this is helpful, and it's good to talk to you again. It's been too long. For
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
no, I definitely gotta like show up and more stuff.
Yeah.
I've been trying to just play like onlines, and then I run the locals like where I'm at, so it's just a lot
Yeah.
of time spent
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that
for
too.
sure, for sure. So, but yeah, anyone watching out there, support your locals, okay? All right. So we'll call it there. We'll hang up the call, and thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Take care. Dark Rocks is good to see you, bro. So that all said, thank you guys for watching. Sit down and shut up. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I do run this through the Fight Rise Discord. So Fight Rise is a fighting community focused on helping focused on Street Fighter 6. They run a bi-weekly tournament. Their One Fight Stand series. It's a 7-round round robin. The pools are split by league, right? So if you're in Master or not in Master, they'll put you in a league where you'll get some good competitive matches, right? They also do community showcase events through their Urge to Fight series. So if you're interested in any of those, they're basically community showcase events. So folks that have been in the Discord playing tournaments and all that stuff, they like to showcase our community. So if you're interested in any of those, take a look at twitch.tv/FightersFGC. Also plug the Discord here, so if you're interested in a session like this for yourself, or want to do any of those things, please join the Fire Discord. I put the links in the chat here. What else can I mention there? But yeah, if you want to train a session like this, right, take a look at the Discord. Take a look under a section called Level Up. There's some coaches there. They all have their own threads, so you can go ahead and take a look at the pinned messages in their channels and take a look at how to sign up for coaching. I'm also part of the Newbie Fight Club. So Newbie Fight Club is another fighting game community focused on getting newer players into fighting games, mostly Street Fighter 6. They run lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Wednesdays are their primary lobby nights for newbies. So if you're new to the game and want to get games with other folks that are also new, you can join that. Mondays are their Modern Mondays. So if you play Modern or interested in Modern and want to try it out, Modern Monday could be the lobby night for you. You don't have to play Modern, but it's encouraged, right? Try it out. Change it up if you're a classic player. And then Fridays is usually an open lobby, so anyone that is around can play, hang out and play games. We also do, I think every other Sunday, they do a double elimination tournament. So that's run by Flash Galatine. If you're interested in any of those, take a look at the Newbie Fight Club Discord, take a look at announcements. Another thing they run in Newbie Fight Club is the Modern Monthly. So if you're a Modern Warrior and want to test your mettle against other Modern Warriors, take a look at that Modern Monthly. It's all Modern. You have to play Modern in that one. It's a good time. There's a lot of really strong players that show up to that. So if there's something interesting you, join the Discord, take a look. I'm very active in both these communities. So if you want to get sets with me or talk to me or ask me questions or anything like that, please feel free to join these Discords and hit me up. I'm more than happy to help you guys out. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. That's all I kind of have. So thank you guys and have a good night.